My dear brother and sister's life has a way of testing us in moments we never planned for. One day you wake up feeling strong, hopeful, and confident, and the next day it feels as though the weight of the world has quietly settled on your chest. Problems come without permission. Pain arrives without warning. And sometimes the hardest part is not the difficulty itself, but the silent question that echoes in the heart, why me? Yet, if we pause for a moment and look around, we realize that every smiling face you see has known sadness. Every calm soul has faced storms. And every strong believer has stood at a crossroads of uncertainty. Staying positive during difficult times is not about pretending everything is fine when it is not. It is not about forcing a smile while the heart is heavy. True positivity is deeper than that. It is the courage to rise each morning despite unanswered prayers, the strength to keep going when the road feels endless, and the faith to trust that what is breaking you today may be shaping you for tomorrow. Sometimes positivity is simply saying, I may be tired, I may be hurting, but I will not give up. When life tightens its grip, it is easy to focus only on what we have lost, what went wrong, or what we wish had turned out differently. But in those very moments, there is an invitation to shift our focus inward, to reconnect with gratitude, patience, and hope. Difficult times do not come to destroy us. They come to reveal what truly lives within us. And when the heart leans toward trust instead of despair, something beautiful begins to happen. Peace slowly replaces panic, clarity softens confusion, and hope quietly finds its way back in. Today, let us remind ourselves that no night lasts forever. No hardship comes without an end, and no sincere tear goes unseen. Even when answers are delayed, even when doors remain closed, there is wisdom unfolding in ways we may not yet understand. Staying positive is not denying the pain. It is believing that beyond this pain, there is mercy, growth, and a light that will shine at exactly the right time. Hard times are often misunderstood as a sign that something has gone wrong with us personally, as if struggle is a punishment or proof of failure. When difficulties arrive, the first reaction many people have is self-blame. We ask ourselves what we did wrong, where we fell short, or why others seem to move forward while we feel stuck. This mindset quietly isolates the heart and convinces the mind that suffering is unique to us, when in reality, hardship is one of the most universal human experiences. Every person walking this earth, regardless of status, wealth, faith, or background, has faced moments that bent them, tested them, and brought them to their knees in ways unseen by others. If struggles were visible, if pain left marks on the face the way smiles do, the world would look very different. We would walk more gently with one another. We would speak more kindly. We would judge less and understand more. The truth is, behind every composed exterior is a story of battles fought in silence. The person you admire for their strength once doubted themselves. The one you think has it all together once cried when no one was watching. The calm voice you trust today may have trembled yesterday under the weight of fear. Hard times do not discriminate. They visit every home, sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly, but always with a lesson in patience and humility. Recognizing that difficulty is a shared human experience brings relief to the heart. It removes the heavy burden of thinking you are broken or abandoned. It reminds you that you are not weak for struggling, you are human. Pain does not mean you lack faith, gratitude, or effort. Sometimes it simply means you are alive and growing. Just as muscles strengthen through resistance, the human soul deepens through trials. What feels unbearable today may one day become the source of your wisdom, compassion, and strength for others. One of the most damaging thoughts during hardship is the idea that everyone else is moving forward while you are falling behind. Social comparisons, especially in times of difficulty, distort reality. People often showcase their victories but hide their wounds. They celebrate achievements but stay silent about the sleepless nights, the anxiety, the prayers whispered in desperation. When you understand that struggles are shared, you stop measuring your journey against someone else's highlight reel and begin to honor your own pace. your own healing, your own process. Hard times also serve as a reminder that life was never meant to be a straight, smooth path. Growth does not happen in comfort alone. Character is not built when everything is easy. Patience is not learned when answers come instantly. Difficult seasons shape resilience, empathy, and depth in ways ease never could. When you accept that hardship is part of the human story, you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And begin asking, what is this teaching me? That shift in perspective does not erase pain, but it gives it meaning. There is also comfort in knowing that those who inspire us most are often those who have suffered deeply. Their words carry weight because they speak from experience. Their kindness feels genuine because it was born from understanding pain. Their strength feels real because it was tested. If hardship were a sign of failure, the most impactful souls in history would never have existed. Instead, their struggles became the very foundation of their influence. When you see your difficulty as part of a shared human experience, loneliness begins to loosen its grip. You realize that others have stood where you stand now and found their way forward, even when the path was unclear. You understand that asking for help is not weakness, but wisdom. That opening your heart does not make you fragile. It makes you real. Pain shed becomes lighter, and hope multiplied. Becomes stronger. Hard times remind us that we are all connected by the same emotional threads of fear, hope, loss, and resilience. They teach us humility, reminding us that control is often an illusion. They soften hearts, break arrogance, and awaken gratitude for the simplest blessings. When ease returns, as it often does, those who have walked through difficulty appreciate peace more deeply and treat others more gently. Understanding that hardship is not a personal failure, but a shared human experience changes how you carry your pain. Instead of hiding it in shame, you hold it with acceptance. Instead of resenting it, you learn from it. Instead of letting it harden you, you allow it to soften you into someone more patient, more compassionate, and more aware of the silent struggle surrounding you every day. Many people believe that staying positive means reaching a state where nothing hurts anymore, where worries disappear and life feels perfectly balanced. This expectation quietly sets us up for disappointment because perfection was never the goal, nor is it realistic. Positivity does not begin when life becomes flawless. It begins when our perspective shifts. It is not about denying reality or ignoring pain, but about choosing how we interpret and respond to what life places in front of us. When the heart understands this, positivity stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling like a source of strength. Perspective is the lens through which we view our circumstances. Two people can face the same storm and walk away with entirely different outcomes, not because the storm was different, but because their way of seeing it was different. One may see only loss, while the other sees a lesson. One may focus on what was taken away, while the other notices what remains. Perspective does not change the event itself, but it transforms its impact on the heart. When we understand this, we realize that positivity is not about controlling life, but about choosing the lens through which we view it. Perfection, on the other hand, is illusion that quietly drains our peace. It convinces us that we must feel strong at all times, remain calm in every situation, and never break under pressure. When we fail to meet this unrealistic standard, we begin to judge ourselves harshly. We feel guilty for feeling sad, ashamed for feeling tired, and frustrated for not being able to stay positive all the time. This inner criticism only deepens the struggle. True positivity does not demand emotional perfection. It allows space for tears, questions, and moments of weakness without labeling them as failure. When life becomes difficult, the mind often replays what could have been done differently. Regret, self-blame, and overthinking take center stage. Perspective gently interrupts this cycle. It reminds us that we made the best decisions we could with the knowledge, strength, and resources we had at that moment. Instead of living in the past or fearing the future, perspective anchors us in the present, where healing actually happens. It shifts our attention from what we cannot change to what we can still influence. Positivity rooted in perspective also teaches patience. It helps us understand that not every problem needs an immediate solution, and not every delay is a denial. Some answers take time because growth takes time. When we stop demanding instant clarity, we allow life to unfold with wisdom. Perspective helps us see waiting not as wasted time, but as preparation. In that space, resilience quietly forms and trust deepens. Another powerful aspect of perspective is gratitude. Even in difficult moments, there is always something to be thankful for, though it may not be obvious at first. Gratitude does not erase pain, but it balances it. It reminds us that hardship may have entered our lives, but it has not taken everything. When we choose to acknowledge small blessings, such as a kind word, a moment of peace, or the strength to get through the day, positivity begins to grow naturally. It becomes a gentle presence rather than a forced emotion. Perspective also protects the heart from comparison. In challenging times, it is easy to look at others and assume they are living easier, happier lives. But perspective reminds us that every soul carries its own unseen burdens. When we stop measuring our journey against others, we free ourselves from unnecessary disappointment. We learn to respect our unique path, our timing, and our struggle without judgment. This acceptance creates inner calm and prevents bitterness from taking root. Importantly, perspective allows us to see difficulties as temporary chapters rather than permanent conclusions. Pain has a way of convincing us that it will last forever. But perspective reminds us that life moves in seasons. Just as ease can change, so can hardship. When we believe that this moment does not define our entire story, hope remains alive. That hope becomes the fuel that keeps us moving forward, even when the steps are small and slow. Positivity that comes from perspective is gentle, honest, and sustainable. It does not demand constant smiles or emotional strength beyond our capacity. It simply asks us to look at our situation with fairness, patience, and trust. When we stop chasing perfection and start choosing perspective, we discover that positivity is not something we force into our lives, but something that naturally grows when we see ourselves, our struggles, and our journey with understanding and mercy in moments of hardship. One of the most difficult things to do is to believe that there is meaning in what we are going through. Pain has a way of narrowing our vision until all we can see is the struggle itself. We focus on what hurts, what feels unfair, and what we wish had never happened. Yet history, experience, and deep reflection consistently show that many of life's greatest lessons are hidden inside moments we once prayed would pass quickly. Trusting every difficulty carries wisdom is not an easy task, but it is one of the most transformative shifts a person can make. When life is comfortable, we often move on autopilot. We rarely question our habits, our priorities, or the direction we are heading. Difficulty interrupts that routine. It slows us down, sometimes forcefully, and compels us to reflect. In that pause, we begin to see ourselves more clearly. We recognize our strengths, our weaknesses, and the areas where we have been relying on things that were never meant to carry our hopes. Hardship strips away illusions and leaves us face to face with what truly matters. Growth rarely feels pleasant while it is happening. Just as physical growth can involve discomfort, emotional and spiritual growth often arrives through challenge. A difficulty that tests patience teaches endurance. A loss that breaks the heart deepens empathy. A delay that frustrates the mind strengthens trust. These qualities cannot be learned through ease alone. They are cultivated in moments when we are forced to rise above our immediate discomfort and respond with resilience rather than resentment. Trusting the wisdom within difficulty does not mean suppressing pain or pretending everything is fine. It means acknowledging the hurt while believing that it is not meaningless. It allows space for grief, confusion, and questioning without surrendering to despair. When we trust that wisdom is unfolding, even if we cannot yet see it, we prevent bitterness from taking root in our hearts. That trust becomes a shield that protects us from being defined by our wounds. Often, the wisdom of hardship reveals itself only in hindsight. What once felt like an ending becomes the beginning of a new path. A door that closed painfully may have prevented greater harm. we could not foresee. A relationship that fell apart may have taught us boundaries and self-worth. A failure that embarrassed us may have redirected us toward a purpose more aligned with who we were meant to become. When we look back, we realize that some of the moments we resisted most were the very moments that shaped us most deeply. Difficulty also has a way of awakening humility. It reminds us that control is limited and certainty is fragile. This realization can feel unsettling at first, but it ultimately leads to inner freedom. When we stop believing that we must have everything figured out, we become more open to learning, growing, and trusting the process of life. Wisdom grows in hearts that are willing to admit they do not have all the answers. Another hidden gift of hardship is compassion. Those who have walked through pain tend to recognize it in others. They listen more attentively, judge less quickly, and offer kindness more freely. Their presence becomes comforting because it is grounded in understanding rather than assumption. This depth of compassion is not learned in classrooms or gained through success alone. It is born from lived experience. Through our own struggles, we are quietly prepared to support others in theirs. Trusting that difficulties carry wisdom also helps us release resentment. When we believe that our pain is pointless, anger grows easily. We ask why life has been unfair, why we were chosen for this trial, and why relief feels so distant. But when we trust that something meaningful is forming within us, even if we cannot yet name it, patience begins to replace anger. We learn to coexist with uncertainty without letting it consume us. Hardship refines character in ways comfort never could. It teaches sincerity in gratitude, depth in faith, and strength in humility. It reminds us that ease is a gift, not a guarantee, and that resilience is built through repeated moments of choosing hope over hopelessness. When wisdom is embraced, difficulty no longer feels like an enemy to be fought, but a teacher to be learned from. Over time, trusting the wisdom hidden in challenges changes how we approach future struggles. Instead of immediately fearing them, we meet them with curiosity and calm. We remember that we have survived before, grown before, and emerged stronger before. This memory becomes a source of confidence, allowing us to face uncertainty with steadiness rather than panic. In trusting that every difficulty carries hidden wisdom, we allow ourselves to be shaped rather than shattered, refined rather than hardened, and guided rather than defeated, knowing that what we are becoming often matters more than what we are going through. Many people search for peace, as though it is something dramatic that suddenly arrives and transforms everything at once. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect solution, or the complete removal of their problems before allowing themselves to feel calm. But inner peace does not work that way. It is not built through grand gestures or sudden breakthroughs. It is quietly shaped by small, consistent choices made every single day, especially when life feels overwhelming. These choices may seem insignificant on their own, but over time, they become the foundation of emotional stability and resilience. Peace begins with how we respond to our thoughts. Every day, the mind produces countless ideas, worries, and fears, many of which are not facts but assumptions. Choosing inner peace means learning not to believe every thought that passes through the mind. It means pausing before reacting, questioning negative narratives, and gently redirecting attention toward what is within our control. This daily mental discipline does not remove problems, but it prevents them from ruling the heart. Small choices also show up in how we speak, both to others and to ourselves. Harsh words spoken in moments of frustration often deepen inner unrest. Likewise, constant self-criticism quietly erodes peace. Choosing kinder language, patience in tone, and forgiveness in moments of anger becomes an act of self-care. These choices may feel difficult at first, but they soften the heart over time, making calmness more accessible even in stressful situations. Inner peace is also nurtured through routine. Simple habits such as taking moments of silence, stepping away from constant noise, and creating space for reflection allow the mind to breathe. In a world that glorifies busyness, choosing stillness becomes a powerful decision. Even a few minutes of quiet each day can restore clarity and reduce emotional overload. Peace grows in the spaces we intentionally protect from chaos. Another daily choice that builds peace is acceptance. Acceptance does not mean approval of pain or injustice. It means acknowledging reality without fighting it internally. Resisting what cannot be changed often creates more suffering than the situation itself. When we choose acceptance, we stop exhausting ourselves with constant inner conflict. This choice frees emotional energy and allows us to focus on what can be improved rather than what cannot be undone. Peace is also shaped by boundaries. Choosing when to say no, when to step back, and when to protect emotional space is essential. Overcommitting, people-pleasing, and carrying responsibilities that are slowly drain inner calm. Setting boundaries may feel uncomfortable at first, but it is a necessary step toward emotional balance. Each time we honor our limits, we reinforce self-respect and inner stability. Gratitude plays a quiet but powerful role in building peace. Daily acknowledgement of even small blessings shifts attention away from constant dissatisfaction. This does not deny hardship, it balances it. When gratitude becomes a habit, the heart learns to coexist with difficulty without being overwhelmed by it. Peace grows when appreciation becomes a daily practice rather than an occasional thought. Inner peace is also strengthened by choosing forgiveness, not because others always deserve it, but because holding on to resentment disturbs the soul. Forgiveness is often a gradual process, but each small step toward letting go releases emotional weight. Choosing not to relive past hurts repeatedly is a gift we give ourselves. Over time, forgiveness restores calm where bitterness once lived. Another overlooked daily choice is rest. Ignoring exhaustion and pushing beyond limits weakens emotional resilience. Choosing to rest when possible, to sleep adequately, and to care for the body is essential for mental peace. A tired mind struggles to stay calm, and a neglected body amplifies stress. Rest is not a reward for finishing everything. It is a requirement for maintaining balance. Peace is also shaped by consistency. Small positive choices may not feel impactful in the moment, but their power lies in repetition. Just as negativity grows through repeated negative habits, peace grows through repeated intentional actions. Over time, these choices form a stable inner environment that remains steady even when external circumstances are unstable. When inner peace is understood as a daily construction rather than a sudden miracle, it becomes accessible to everyone. It no longer feels distant or unrealistic. It becomes something built gently through patience, awareness, and self-compassion, reminding us that calmness is not found by escaping life's challenges, but by choosing how we meet them. One quiet decision at a time. One of the most painful experiences during difficult times is the feeling of being alone. Even when surrounded by people, the heart can feel isolated, unheard, and overwhelmed. In such moments, hope often feels fragile, as though it could disappear with one more setback. Yet hope does not survive on circumstances alone, it survives on remembrance. When we remember that we are never truly alone, even in our most silent struggles, hope finds a way to stay alive. Human beings are created with an innate need for connection. When hardship strikes, it is easy to withdraw, believing that no one will understand or that sharing our pain will burden others. This withdrawal, though natural, often deepens sadness. Remembering that support exists, whether through family, friends, or sincere companions, gently counters that isolation. Even a single genuine conversation can remind the heart that it is seen and valued. Beyond human connection, there is a deeper awareness that sustains hope during difficult seasons. Life has a way of reminding us that unseen support often surrounds us even when answers are delayed. There are moments when strength appears from nowhere, when patience holds longer than expected, and when relief comes just in time. These moments are not coincidences, they are reminders that help does not always arrive in the form we anticipate, but it does arrive. Hope grows when we remember past moments of survival. Every person who is breathing today has already endured challenges they once thought would break them. Recalling those moments builds confidence in the present. It reminds us that we have been carried through difficulty before, even when we did not know how we would make it. That memory becomes proof that we are not facing this moment alone, even if the path ahead feels uncertain. Loneliness often whispers lies to the heart. It suggests that no one cares, that no one understands, and that no one would notice if we disappeared into silence. Remembering connection silences these lies. It brings clarity, reminding us that absence of attention is not absence of care. And silence from others does not mean abandonment. Many people carry love quietly, unsure of how to express it, but deeply present nonetheless. Hope also remains alive when we recognize that our struggles connect us to others rather than separating us. Pain is one of the strongest bridges between hearts. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we often discover shared experiences that create understanding and compassion. In this shared humanity, hope finds strength. We realize that we are part of a much larger story, one filled with resilience, recovery, and renewal. Another powerful source of hope is remembering that our lives have purpose beyond the current moment. Difficulties have a way of narrowing focus, making the present pain feel like the entire story. But remembering that life continues, that seasons change, and that new chapters unfold restores perspective. Hope lives in the belief that today's hardship is not the final chapter, but a passage leading somewhere meaningful. Hope is also sustained through acts of kindness, both given and received. When we help someone else, even in small ways, we step outside our own pain and remember our capacity to make a difference. Likewise, accepting kindness from others reinforces the truth that we are not meant to carry burdens alone. These exchanges keep hope active and alive. Faith, trust, and remembrance work together to protect hope from fading. When the heart remembers that it is supported, guided, and never abandoned, despair loses its power. Even in the darkest moments, there is a quiet reassurance that strength will come when it is needed, clarity will arrive at the right time, and relief will follow patience. Hope does not require perfect circumstances to survive. It only requires the remembrance that we are not alone in our struggles, that our pain is seen, that our journey has meaning, and that support surrounds us in ways both visible and unseen, allowing the heart to keep moving forward with quiet courage, even when the road feels long.